So, Carrie, when you're traveling to a new place and you need to pick a restaurant to eat at, and you're walking through, one of those tourist trappy type areas that you like to frequent. I know you don't, but just work with me here, right?
How dare you?
And you see a couple of restaurants. One is full, busy, bit of a lineup out the door. You can tell there's might be a bit of a wait time to get in. And then the one next door is, there's that waiter outside, the greeter, right? Who's like trying to pull you in with the specials, right? And the place is pretty much empty. You could tell that, they're pretty desperate to have you come in. Where do you want to eat?
Well, I may not answer this exactly the way you think I'm going to, because yes, if I happen to be walking down the street, it's definitely the first one. I'm going to find my way to the busiest restaurant that looks like the people are the most excited and happy to be there. But for me, what I would have already done ahead of time was research the restaurants, found the one that I can't get into because it's so high demand, and then figured out, which Wednesday at 2 p.m. I can work my way in there because I'm so excited to be able to experience whatever it is that all these people are so excited about that are blocking me from being able to walk in the door.
Well, same deal, right? So like if they're not taking reservations until like a week down the line, you're thinking, wow, this must be really good or overhyped, right? But either way, you're more likely to want to make a reservation now because of the scarcity. Right, the scarcity and the demand that they have makes you want it more. Why don't consultants think like this, Carrie?
Yeah, it's so interesting, and it almost even works the other way in that they look at their capacity and their ability to deliver, first of all, as a finite thing, and secondly, as something that will create some terrible consequence if they have enough clients coming in that they, can't serve them. And it's so fascinating because you're not wrong, right? Out in the non-consulting world as buyers, we're all looking for the special edition, right? Those limited releases that people will, I'll show my age and say we used to actually line up for, right? But now you're online lining up for, you're spending $1 gazillion for your Taylor Swift tickets, whatever it is that's in limited supply, we all want that. But when we're on the other side, suddenly we're so afraid to disappoint somebody, right? We're so afraid to not be able to take on all the clients that we, take on these very counterproductive and quite frankly, kind of bizarre actions to protect ourselves from having too many clients, which when you say it out loud, sounds kind of bizarre, right?
And, folks, I'm sure are listening to this and saying, well, look, folks, like Ahmed, Carrie, I want the lineup. What are you talking about? I'm not against it. I want the lineup. I want the wait list. I want people knocking down my door to work with me. I would love nothing more. And yet your behavior, your actions would tell me otherwise. And here's practically how I see this show up a lot. Folks go, look, I'm busy. I've got clients right now. I can't maybe take on a lot of clients at the moment. And so I'm not going to do the work of building pipeline and generating demand now because I don't need it now. And what that kind of thinking leads to is you will always have just enough or not enough opportunity. And you'll never have more than enough opportunity. Mm-hmm. And this is what commonly is referred to as the feast and famine cycle, right? You've got a lot of opportunity that keeps you busy, just enough. And so you feel really good because you're busy, you're occupied, you're productive. But because you're not building and generating demand for the future, when the current clients roll off, which they inevitably do, you're now in a famine cycle. And then you work really hard to get just enough opportunity again until the next famine cycle. Whereas the obvious solution in retrospect is if you do the work to build pipeline and generate demand for your services when you are busy, you get yourself to a place where you have excess demand or a wait list. And that ultimately does a whole number of things, which we'll talk about today. But first and foremost, it de-risks the business. It hedges against a client leaving or, or parting ways with you for one reason or another.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the other things that it does? Because I think, you know, it's important to call these out and to put them in the front of people's minds, because you said before that, maybe I'll decide that I don't need clients right now. So that's why I won't, do these other things I need to do to build pipeline. I think it's a bit more insidious than that. I think what tends to happen is people will really, what they say out loud and what they think to themselves is, I don't have time right now to do this pipeline thing because I'm busy. They're not necessarily thinking like, I don't need more clients. They're thinking, I don't have time right now, so I'll wait a little bit. I'll wait till it's a little bit quieter. I'll wait until I have the time, whatever that is. And then what happens is they unwittingly get themselves into this cycle, but they do it by truly thinking they're making the decision they have to make, right? By truly thinking they're making the right call, which is to focus on serving the clients they have and not focus on building pipeline. So I think it's worth getting super clear about what creating a wait list does and having everyone be able to really build that picture and hold it in their minds so that in the moment on Tuesday morning, when they are trying to decide if they're going to take the steps they need to take to build and maintain their pipeline, or whether they are going to just go back into their comfort zone of, serving their clients, they know what it is that they're aiming for.
Yeah. So what does a wait list do?
Yeah.
What we're talking about, I'm calling it a wait list, but what I'm really referring to is having excess demand for your services. That is, more people want to work with you than you have capacity to serve. Okay. When you're in that position, and it may seem crazy, but I assure you, we have lots of clients who are in this position. We've seen this firsthand. Number one, it makes you more desirable. If you can say to a client, well, look, it's January 6th right now at the time of this recording, we probably can't onboard you until Feb 15 because we're backed up, right? Or whatever that time frame is. If you can say to a client, here's when we can start with you, here's when we can make time for you, here's when we can onboard you because we're busy, that makes you more desirable than if you say, Jan 6th, we can start you this afternoon, right? Because the latter scenario tells clients that you're sitting around, you're waiting for the work, you've got capacity, probably not very good. But if you're busy and I've got to get in line, sign up, sign a contract, get on the calendar, you're probably pretty good, right? So it makes you more desirable. Number one. Number two, it helps you forecast and grow revenue and build capacity. Because when you start stacking these up and you've got, we've got clients that are booked out for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. We've got clients right now that are almost full for 2025, if not full. What does that do? Now they can start scheduling out their projects. They can start planning capacity. If they want to grow, they can get aggressive and start growing and adding capacity, or they can focus on delivery. But they have a really clear roadmap of what's going to happen this year, who they need on their team, how to plan projects, and how to grow revenue if they want to do that, right? They have essentially a forecast of what's coming in. And that's a really powerful place to be. Thirdly, pricing. What happens when demand exceeds supply? Yes, economics 101 is the price goes up. So now you can start to, people talk about pricing quite a bit, but it's really hard to raise your prices when you need work. It's a lot easier to raise your prices when you don't really need the work. You're already at capacity and you have excess demand. Now you can start to steadily increase your prices and start testing to see how clients respond to different price points and different packages. That's a starter. I mean, there's probably more. But the point is...
Well, let me add 2 more actually before you move on, because I think there's, we want people to really see this clearly. So additionally, it starts to let you choose your clients, right? Creating a wait list doesn't mean that you're going to necessarily serve everyone who gets on the list, right? This lets you become the bouncer, right? The person at the velvet rope who's deciding to let the pretty people in, or, the people that look like they have more money, or the people that whatever you want for your business. And that isn't only good for revenue, that's good for you, right? It sets you up to be able to work with the people that you truly want to work with and that you truly connect with. And this is going to bring a level of, joy and happiness, quite frankly, to your work that just having to take the next person who comes along because you need the revenue will never do. And beyond that, it's also something that, if someone comes into your business, from a wait list, to oversimplify, right? They wanted to work with you. They had to wait. They've been, spending their time in the interim getting ready to work with you. And also, it quite frankly changes the perspective of the work that you do together. Because now they're not working with, random Joe who just happened to have time for me today. They're working with that expert, right? In their mind, I'm working with that expert who was so busy that I am lucky to be here. That changes the way they're going to show up. That changes the way they're going to perceive the work you do together. That changes, in a lot of cases, their satisfaction. Even if the outcome's the same, their satisfaction level is going to be different when that's the person that they see themselves working with.
Yeah, on your latter point, I mean, I'm thinking about, if I go into the busy restaurant, right, and I ask the waiter, what's good here? What do people like? I keenly want to know what's popular. What do people like? Because I know a lot of people are coming in the door here, right? If I go to the empty restaurant, I'm not asking that question because nobody's here. Nothing's popular, right? Or to put another way, if the waiter says at the busy restaurant, the chef really recommends this. Okay, well, must be a top-notch chef. This place is busy, right?
He knows what he's doing. She knows what she's doing.
And in the empty restaurant, I don't really care. Chef recommends, right? Because based on what? Nobody's here.
You're not even sure there is a chef.
You take the work more seriously when there's higher perceived demand. And the point you were making about being able to choose your clients, I think really practically where that shows up, and I think is it shifts the energy in the conversation you have with prospects. Right now, many of you, when you talk to a prospect, the energy of that conversation, it's unspoken. You don't say this out loud, and they don't say it out loud, but you both know it, is, I need this deal. I want the revenue. I need this to close. That's the energy you're bringing to that conversation when you need it. When you don't need it, when you have a wait list, when you're booked out, when you have excess demand, you approach those conversations with a completely different attitude, mindset, vibe, energy. Right now, it's like, let's see if there's a fit. Let's see if we can work together. Let's see if I can solve your problem. Let's see if you're a good fit. Let's see if there's a match here. And if there isn't, it's okay because I have excess demand. And I think what it really does is it helps you step out of scarcity and into abundance. And yeah, you need to find ways to do that regardless of what's going on in your business, frankly. But it's a lot easier to feel abundant about the opportunity in front of you, the prospects for your business, your revenue, your growth, when you have a lineup than when you don't.
Yeah, and it's that mindset of abundance, and also just from a running your business perspective, it puts you back in the driver's seat. And that's what we all want, right? If you started a business, it's because you wanted to be the one who made the decisions. You wanted to be the one who, had the vision. You wanted to be the one who decided how things moved forward. And when you don't have that wait list, you've taken yourself out of the driver's seat, right? You're taking what comes at you. You're letting yourself be bounced around by whatever potential clients head your way, versus being in a place where you can, you've got your feet solidly under you and you are the one at the whiteboard drawing out the plan, deciding what happens, and everything that occurs in that scenario is your choice. You can choose to work with the people in the wait list. You can choose to only work with X number of clients per year and send others elsewhere. You can decide to grow your business. You can decide to hire people. You can decide to stay small. Those all become decisions that are now back on your plate versus things that are just happening to you.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think there's a really clear line there between folks who get this right and folks who don't, which is, to your point, it's being proactive versus reactive. The folks who get this right, even when they're busy, understand that they will not be busy forever unless they do something now. So they're being proactive in building pipeline, generating demand, even though they're busy now because they're worried about next quarter or next year and so on and so forth. And then there's folks who are very, very reactive in their business. And as long as they've got clients, they feel like they don't have a problem until they lose a client. And then they realize they have a problem in a very reactive way. And, I hope by now y'all are drinking the Kool-Aid on why you should be in a position where you have excess demand for your business. And while, I don't think either of us are claiming that it's easy to get there, it does begin with, I think, a very simple decision. And that very simple decision is, even though I might be busy now, I'm going to be proactive in generating demand for the future because I want to benefit from what having excess demand looks like. Like, that's the simple decision you have to make now to get on this path. Or you guarantee yourself a business that is purely reactive and will continue to suffer from the feast and famine cycles.